Hello friends, welcome back. In my previous video, in basic part one, we discussed about the like basic part, like what is Kubernetes. Right? You must have gone to that video. You can search under my channel, the Kubernetes basic part one. So we discussed like a quick recap. So we discussed about the traditional deployment, right? What used to happen in the early 80s, 90s, and all that, right? Then we discuss about the virtualization, right? So, like what are the improvement areas which we saw in case of the virtualization, and basically what was the problem in that, right? And then in each phase, right? If you see in case of the traditional deployment, there were some certain kind of a pros and cons. Now in case of virtualization deployment, also there were certain kind of pros and cons now, and then we move to the container kind of a deployment. So that is what we discussed in my previous video, basic part one. In this basic part two, let's more focus onto the containerization part, right? So in this case, what happens, right? We have a hardware, right? And then we have a operating system on top of that. Okay, so there is a bare metal hardware. We deploy the host operating system. Okay, that can be anything, Windows, Linux, or Unix. That can be anything. And then we have basically container runtime on top of that. Okay, in case of the virtualization, we have a hypervisor, right? What it does, it basically virtualized all the like configurations and everything, and then you can use the guest operating system on top of that. Okay, so it gives you platform to create the virtualized environment, and then you can create any number of virtual machines. Okay, that virtual machine has the in operating system. Okay, every virtual machine has a operating system altogether, and then you can deploy your applications, right? The way you used to deploy the applications and all that, like previously. Okay, so hypervisor basically creates the bridge or the mediator between the your guest operating system, okay, guest machine, and to the host operating system. Okay, so that is what is the basic functionality of the hypervisor. Okay, now in case of the container runtime, right, what it happens, it is a basically software, okay, that allows the any container, okay, okay, to operate, okay, in the host system. Okay, so it is a basically fundamental unit. Okay, it is a basically fundamental software or fundamental unit, okay, that allows the containers to operate, to work, okay, in the host system. Okay, now now that container runtime is responsible for everything, for end-to-end lifecycle management of the container, starting from pulling the image from the registry server till it gets deployed into the pod and then actual application like up and running and all that. Okay, so that is what it does. So let me repeat, container runtime is a basically a backbone software, okay, where the containers run in the host system. Okay, and container runtime is responsible for entire life cycle of a specific container. Okay, now that container has the images, right? So basically what happens, right? In case of container runtime, it will pull the image, it will deploy that image, it will make sure that it is up and running if everything goes well, and then our application is accessible. Okay, so the point here is like container runtime is very important part in case of the containerized deployment. Okay, so Docker, right, for example, now Docker does everything. Okay, now in case of Kubernetes, what happens, right? Kubernetes is just a, as I mentioned earlier in my first video, it is a orchestration platform, so it will manage the container, okay, the way it used to be managed by the container runtime. Okay, so Kubernetes is not doing something like a very different thing. Okay, container is just a kind of Kubernetes is just kind of a wrapper on top of this container stuff. Okay, so it will run the containers inside the pod. That's it. Okay, it will manage the entire life cycle the way container runtime used to do. Okay, I hope you understand what exactly the container runtime and all that. Now, if you see this basically image, right, whatever screen which I'm sharing, it has the container one and container two. Now, what that container one does? Container one does all the supporting libraries, binary packages, which is required to run that application. That's it. It doesn't contain any operating system at all. That is the basic difference between the virtualized environment and to the containerized environment. Okay. In case of the virtualization environment, we have all operating system. Entire virtual machine is there. Entire operating system is there. Okay. But in case of container, we do not have any operating system altogether. Okay. So container one and container two both are isolated. They don't have any operating system altogether. They will take all the information, all the configuration related to the file system, kernel, CPU, memory, other resources from the other operating system using the container runtime. So container runtime here is the bridge between operating system and to the containers. Okay, so that is the major difference between the virtualization and to the container kind of a deployment. Okay, so here let me repeat: container one, container two, or any number of containers, right, which can be deployed onto this basically bare metal machine that does not have any operating system at all. Okay, so that is the beauty, that is the novelty part of the containerization deployment. Okay, so in case of the container, what we saved cost. Okay, that is first. Second thing, we saved the maintenance cost of the operating system. No need to do anything related to the operating system, right? Third thing, containers are very lightweight. They can be destroyed, they can be created at any time, right? Agree? And in case of the container, we can run any application, right? Any number of containers I can run depending on the capacity or the infrastructure, underlying infrastructure which I have, right? So it is a very good in terms of enterprise grade application, or maybe mid-size kind of application, or maybe small scale application. So you take any type of application or any type of product, it is good for any type of product. Okay. Another point is it is technology independent. Okay. So it is like a basically not a platform dependent and all that, right? If application is containerized, you can run that application on any container. Okay. And another point is it's very, very cheap because it is a open source, right? You don't have to pay anything at all, right? So basically you can run your applications onto the containers and then get going. Okay. So that is what the basically I just wanted to mention what is container runtime, what it does, what is the major functionality of the container runtime, how it basically interacts with the operating system hardware, right? And then how the containers works on top of that, how they take the all the resources from the operating system, right? Whether it is a hardware resources or whether it is a file system or CPU, memory, right? Any resource which is required to run the application is taken from the basically host operating system. And container runtime is the crucial software unit, okay, which is responsible for entire life cycle of the container. Okay, I hope you understand this basically the explanation or the description of the container runtime, what it does and all that, and then complete this entire the basic part two. Now in the next video, we'll discuss about the basic backbone of the Kubernetes. Okay, the basic structure or the component structure, or maybe you can say that the basic hardware. Not sorry, not the hardware. The basic basically architecture of the Kubernetes. Okay, and we can discuss on that point. Okay. Thank you for watching this video. If you like this video, please subscribe to the channel and then we can continue on top of that. Okay, thank you very much.